students, you are welcome to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Today, I'm going to take you, as usual, my subject, government. And we are going to look at a very interesting topic as far as the lesson for today is concerned. I believe you are going to enjoy it.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
The topic is Foreign Policy 2. Why 2? Maybe you are familiar with foreign policy as a topic. You might have been taught in your school in the areas of meaning, objectives, and principles, as well as why Nigeria is into foreign policy that gives Africa a consideration. That is the basis of our discussion for today under this topic. What is going to be our learning objectives? What are the areas we want to achieve at the end of the lesson? Number 1, you'll be able to discuss Africa as centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. Give reasons why Nigeria adopted Africa as centerpiece of our foreign policy. Describe ways by which Nigeria demonstrated the adoption of Africa as centerpiece of our foreign policy. Again, Africa as centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. If you are asked to discuss the policy of Nigeria as far as foreign aspect is concerned, in one of the objectives is to make Africa a centerpiece of our policy. One of the objectives, I repeat, is to make Africa a centerpiece of our foreign policy. Since 1960, when immediately after Nigeria got independence, the Prime Minister, under Alhaji Tafawa Balewa, the country has declared since then that Nigeria has adopted Africa as centerpiece of our foreign policy. Other governments that succeeded, either military or civilian administration, have followed suit and have reflected this in their principles and objectives. They also demonstrated the policy to date. The current government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not an exception. Whatever policy is being projected or followed, Africa first in the mind of the leaders. Don't forget, the number of countries that are in Africa, not less than 55, 56. Before any government in Nigeria will consider other parts of the world, these countries will be number 1 in terms of relationship, in terms of interaction and actions to be taken to the benefits of these countries. However, the national objective of Nigeria is still considered. So let's look at reasons why we have this. That is, reasons for the adoption of Africa as centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. There are so many reasons why Nigeria has done this. Like I said, since independence era. 1, to begin charity from home, because Nigeria is part of Africa. So whatever we want to do, our leaders have taught it wisely to think of, let Africa come first, because we are brothers. regardless of Nigeria's size, population, and endowment of resources. Even the countries see us as leaders. 2, to contribute to creation of necessary political and economic conditions in Africa. Necessary political and economic conditions. In terms of politics, security, how do we help ourselves to avoid problems of insurgency, crisis, every now and then? And economic conditions to help one another to develop and advance economically. To realize the expectation that Nigeria is looked upon for leadership in Africa because of our wealth. Like I told you, we have abundant resources. Not only crude oil, both in liquid as well as solid minerals. Nigeria is endowed. And we have all these to help us develop our economy, and so other countries of Africa too will benefit. Size and population, like we have in Africa. Nigeria, here, apart from Algeria or Sudan, in terms of mass of land, Nigeria is big in size. Nigeria is as big as 6 in terms of number of some countries. So that gives us the opportunity that other countries see Nigeria as big, and they see Nigeria as a country that will help them. And again, population. We have a number of people in millions, 200 millions and above. And that has helped our development of manpower, technical know-how, and it has made other countries to see us as, oh, Nigerians, anywhere they are always good for us in terms of relationship. So they relate with us. And because of that, Nigeria has adopted Africa as number 1 in foreign policy. To bring countries of Africa together so that they can speak with one voice in international organizations forum, whether OPEC, whether UNO, and any other international organizations. When Nigeria speaks in the forum, they believe Africa is speaking. Then, in conjunction, an agreement with other countries of Africa, whatever Nigeria says goes a long way to determine what these international bodies are, the way they relate with African countries. Then to give first attention to Africa in Nigeria's external relations, we have said charity begins from home. First attention must be for Africa in our external relations. Now let's look at how Nigeria has demonstrated this. Since 1960, Nigeria has been fighting tooth and nail to make sure Africa is number 1 in its foreign policy affairs. How has this been demonstrated? We can divide this into 3. Number 1, contributions to liberation movements. Some of these points are chronological. They are about events and dates. They are inexhaustive. We can get more points to be able to understand better. But let's take an example of at least 3 each from the contributions. How Nigeria did this. Number 1, raising financial assistance for fight for independence of some countries. Nigeria has done it before. After our independence era or period, we have also helped other countries of Africa to fight for their independence. Mention could be made of Namibia, Angola, South Africa, and many others. Not only physical appearance at meetings to discuss this, they also do funding, financial assistance to some of these countries so that these countries will become independent and be free from their colonial masters. These countries we mentioned will never forget what Nigeria has done for them to gain independence. Opposition to supply of British arms to South Africa during apartheid era. Yes, apartheid has been something that has made serious damages, caused serious damages to South Africa. Discrimination of whites against the blacks. This was vehemently opposed by Nigeria with the support of some West African and West African countries to make sure during that time that Britain, don't forget that our colonial masters were the British. Britain was to supply arms to South Africa during the apartheid era. Nigeria opposed it and it was not allowed to happen. And because of that, South Africa had some respite, even though apartheid did not stop immediately. But Britain did not join other countries to support military arms to fight the blacks. Nigeria was in forefront to oppose it. Nationalization of British Petroleum. Nationalization of some companies like Barclays Bank and other companies by the government of General Olusegun Obasanjo. Don't forget, immediately after military came to power, for a long period of time, Nigeria was under military rule. During the time of General Olusegun Obasanjo, then head of state, there are a lot of policies that were, pushed to make sure that Africa did not suffer in the hands of some of these their former colonial masters. And Nigeria itself will not open its eyes and see to see that Britain will not override. One of the actions taken by General Olusegun Obasanjo as at that period of time was to nationalize some companies. What does this mean? It means some of these companies were sold. I mean, not totally sold, but in terms of shares, in terms of how many shares will be in control or under the control of Nigeria. Then, British Petroleum was nationalized, renamed African Petroleum before what you now know as NNPCL, Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation. Dated back to that period, apart from change in names, British Petroleum was no more under the control of Britain. It became Nigeria's control in terms of management. We still have some technical experts who are working with us, and a lot of our people were able to get jobs instead of the British people. The second aspect is on participation in conflict resolution. After independence of some of these countries of Africa, many of them could not even stand politically. They were still depending on who to rule, who to determine what to do in terms of leadership. So, Nigeria participated in resolution of their conflicts. We can give an example of settlement of conflict between Togo and Benin Republic in 1975, which could have made for collapse of the two countries. Hosting of reconciliation conferences in Lagos and Kano to settle conflict in Chad in 1978. There was much problems in Chad Republic. So leaders of the country were invited to Kano. Firstly, Lagos, and later Kano, where leaders of Nigeria sat down with them and looked at peaceful resolution. What do we want? What do we want? Let us look at what to do. At the end of the day, it paved way for peace. Playing role in saving the Organization of African Unity from disintegration due to Western Sahara crisis. Up till some years back, Western Sahara crisis has lingered on. Nigeria has played a big role because a lot of countries wanted to pull out from the membership of the OAU, now African Union. So this will have caused disintegration. But Nigeria played a major role to solve this problem. Then, leading the formation of ECOWAS Monitoring Group, that is ECOMOG. ECOWAS Monitoring Group is a group of troops that were gathered to make peace or maintain peace or keep peace in countries like Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, and Sierra Leone. A lot of things has happened. Crises and conflicts, fights, damages to properties, killings here and there in these countries mentioned. We can also mention other ones. But it was during the era of our government of Nigeria, during the time of the military era, that ECOMOG was formed. And it continued when civilians came to power to make sure these countries had peace. And to God be the glory, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Cote d'Ivoire are now peaceful, thanks to Nigeria's role. Finally, there are other areas that we can put together: economy, sports, and culture. Financial support was given to ECOWAS and the African Union. ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States, and AU, African Union. Till today, Nigeria gives support. Don't forget, Nigeria still houses the headquarters of ECOWAS. And African Union is gaining a lot from funding of that organization by Nigeria, contributing to formation of Africa Development Bank. Africa Development Bank is that financial institution that was established for countries of Africa to benefit from loan, helping them to carry out developmental projects, infrastructures, grants, and so on and so forth, to make sure that African countries develop economically. And coincidentally, our own Chief Akinwumi Adesina, a Nigerian, is the president of AFDB as we speak today. Nigeria is still there, pushing, demonstrating that Africa will be number one in their foreign policy with other countries of the world. Influencing promotion of intra-African economic cooperation. Nigeria has influenced the promotion of economic cooperation. Countries come together to reap the opportunity. And in fact, why was OAU changed to African Union? This was in pattern with what operates in Europe, where we talk about European Union. Nowadays, we are no more talking about countries of Africa fighting for independence. What we need is economic advancement. We talk about another one, promotion of intra-Africa sports, such as hosting of all African games, African Cup of Nations. Nigeria has hosted a lot of competitions and games, sports events, and have funded or financed these games and sports events. mention can be made of all African Games. Since 1973, our country, Nigeria, has been doing this. African Cup of Nations, 1980, 1994, mention them. Nigeria financed the sporting events. These are embarked upon to make sure that African countries are brought together in the name of sports and games to make friendly relations. And it has been a policy that Nigeria has demonstrated. Influencing other African countries to speak with one voice at international organizations, for example, UNO or Commonwealth. Finally, we can talk about promotion of cultural ties among African nations through First Tax 77. This is another good example of promotion of socio-cultural aspects of adopting Africa as centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. In 1977, Nigeria financed this project. Nigeria financed the arrangement of all black race to come together in Nigeria to come and showcase and display their culture and all aspects of arts and whatever you can call it, just to show that we are one, we are brothers. And to God be the glory, it paved way. A lot of countries of Africa and all over the world where we have blacks came, and this was achieved. These are some of the ways by which Nigeria has demonstrated that Africa is at the centerpiece of our foreign policy. Some of these examples are there for you to, read more on them.
Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO Candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
From what you have explained today, I'm convinced that you have learned one or two things more than what you already knew from your schools. Let's now put in practice some of these questions. 1. Give 3 reasons why Nigeria has adopted Africa as centerpiece of our foreign policy. 2. Mention 3 ways by which Nigeria has demonstrated that Africa is the centerpiece of our foreign policy. Probable solutions. I say probable because we can get more of other points from what we have outlined previously. You have to give 3 reasons why Nigeria has adopted Africa as centerpiece of our foreign policy. Number 1, to realize the expectation that Nigeria is looked upon for leadership in Africa because of our wealth, because of our size, because of our population. B, to bring countries of Africa together so that they can speak with one voice in international organizations forum. C, to give first attention to Africa in Nigeria's external relations. Mention 3 ways, that is the second question. 3 ways by which Nigeria has demonstrated that Africa is the centerpiece of our foreign policy. We have taken 1 point each from the major points, giving examples. You can add more on your own. I'm sure you have gained something. Contributions to liberation movement. Example is how Nigeria has raised finance, has raised funds, has given financial assistance to fight for independence of some countries like Namibia, like Angola, like South Africa. Participation in conflict resolution. Nigeria has helped in settlement of conflict between countries. Example, we can give Togo and Benin Republic in 1975. There are other areas where Nigeria has shown or demonstrated. We have economy, sports, and culture, especially support for ECOWAS and African Union. Up till now, Nigeria is supporting these two organizations in Africa so that we can have unity, we can have cooperation, we can have economic advancement. If you put these points down, you are not far from getting your full mark, but you can get more points from what we have itemized to add to these ones, depending on the dictates of the question. Follow the rubrics, the instruction given to you, you will not have problem. I want to believe today we have had good interaction and discussion. As far as this topic is concerned, foreign policy, how Nigeria has demonstrated that Africa is the centerpiece of our foreign policy. I want to thank you for being with me, and I believe when next we meet, you will give me your right attention to be able to discuss better than this. If you have any question, comments, or remarks, you can send to any of our social handles as displayed on the screen.